Yeah, I Wagwan, Tish your boy, Jedon, Legendary. And we have another guide for you here, folks. We got OGV in the building. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do all things photography. Alright, Cyberpunk architecture. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Buildings, bridges, anything within the city that exists within this game. It's a big city, it's massive, and it's gorgeous in its own way, in a good way. You're going to need a couple of things. Of course, for my console folks, everything I'm about to tell you will work. However, the mods, obviously, in the mod menu, you won't be able to use. For my vanilla PC players who don't like mods, this stuff is barely going to touch your game. But if you want to continue to not use mods, we do also have a mod menu that will not affect your actual game. For my mod users, appearance mod menu mod is going to be incredibly important. This will allow you to teleport wherever you need to teleport quickly. And Charlie, this will allow you to turn off the fog if you don't want fog, although I don't recommend that for buildings because you're going to lose a lot of sun rays and natural lighting. I only ever do that for my characters, and even then it's pretty rare. And then you're going to want to remove crowd and traffic, because if you're not caring to get people in your photo, this will greatly reduce lag of any source, especially if you don't have a higher end computer. With that being said, you're also going to need Wemod or Wand, what it's called now, Wemod mod menu. This will give you allow you to have infinite health, infinite double jump, high speed, and high jump. Those are going to be incredibly important for the purposes of being able to get around. I know obviously parkour exists within this game. I mean, this is a high level character here, so she can do all that too, but there's only so far you can get. That is why these items are important. With that being said, that is everything you're going to need. Let's get into it. So we're not going to quite get into angles yet. That'll be next. Right now, we just need to know field of view. So here at 60, we can see a lot, but not really enough. 60 is great when you're working with a character, but not exactly enough for a building, of course, depending on what you're trying to do. If we use anything similar to what the heck I used to my characters, then we're a little too close. But at the same time, that also doesn't look that bad. So you really never should be afraid of a close field of view. It really comes down to what you're looking for. Do you want your photo to look like this and focus on the main center buildings? Maybe your character lives in this building specifically, so that's why you have it on that building. But if you're just trying to showcase overall, like the whole area, that is where, to me, 80 and 90 becomes important, because now you can still see the main building down there, but you can also see more of the buildings to their side. And if you want it to the extreme, which I usually only use 90 if the building is incredibly tall, but as you can see, you can still see quite a bit. And if you want to angle it up just a bit higher, that is also a pretty impeccable looking angle as well. So when it comes down to it, what's the style you're looking for? What are you looking to do, right? Now let's say you don't want to focus on the whole U of the buildings. You kind of want to focus on one of the building. Like I said, this is where 90 becomes a little too extreme, because this building doesn't have the height for it. So for me, 80 works just fine. Now as you can see, we see the building closer, but you can still see a lot around the said building as well. You can get a little too close, which would be 70. Now we have an unnecessary amount cut from here. The beds and the trash can are now being cut off. That trash can's cut off. The top of the roof doesn't even align up properly anymore. You would have to back up. But at that point, why back up? Because you already had a great angle when you were at 80. So to me, it all comes down to what style are you looking for. Now let's say you're not quite caring about looking at anything around the building, but you kind of want to focus on a specific part of the building. Once again, a closer field of view isn't a bad thing. It's just a lot of times for a building, it's better. Unless you're looking to focus on something specific. Like say your character lives in that apartment building there, then boom, you want to focus on it. I almost just dropped a glass bottle, but I somehow managed to catch it. You want to catch the one window, then you can do exactly that. It all comes down to the style of the photo, but if you're looking to capture just the building itself, that to me is where 80 field of view excels, because as you can see, We have the entirety of the building. Everything that is important to the photo can be seen in the photo perfectly. We just inch up just a little bit closer. Boom. Now you see that entire building with no real cutoff. Let's get into angles. As a real quick display, this is why you're going to want that mod menu so that you could do stuff like this. I can go wherever the fuck I want now. Okay, this is why this is important. Parkour can't get you up here. I promise you it can't. Alright, so now here we are. For angles, we are on the side of this absolute behemoth of a building, a mega tower here, right? This is where angles are going to come in handy. This building is massive. And unfortunately, Cyberpunk's photo mode, you can't look all the way up. So that is where I said the field of view is going to help you because you can zoom out more to see more. However, let's say you want to add a little bit extra swag, a little bit extra angle to your said photo. Okay, that is very important. Well, not very important, but it's important to depend on how the swag of your photo you want it to be. Let's line this building up perfectly. Okay, between the two lines here, of course on the sides here, move over just a little bit more. Now let's zoom that out so we can see more of that said building. As you can see, we can now get closer because this building is so huge, or you just look farther down, see more of the bottom half. Of course, that goes on depending on how far you want to go. We're going to stick with 80 though, because any farther than that's going to kind of odd. That is also where your angles come into play. What look are you going for your photo? For me personally, I always put my camera down all the way practically on the dang ground, pretty much like I would do in real life, and just get stupid low. And angles is a simple one. Just really like how you trying to line your photo up. So like if we put it here at 38, now we're dang near perfectly lined up, 39 actually, or is that 37? 37, we're dang near perfectly lined up with the building here. It's an absurd angle. I personally probably wouldn't do it because then the viewer has to look at it in such a harsh way. But at the same time, if you like the way that looks, which honestly doesn't look that bad, it's just kind of odd to look at first glance. That's pretty dang clean though. And you can see a wide variety of the building. You can see the bottom half with them ridiculous looking ads. You can see the ground. You can also see the complete top of the building as well. So angles is more of a simplistic one, and angles to me are completely composed on style or where you might be at. So versus the building, right? Let's say you want to take a picture of something like this. This is where a closer field of view would excel so that you can get closer to those sun rays, number one. We'll get to coloring shortly. And then the angle of whatever you might be looking for. For a photo like this, you don't really need to put an angle in it because the top of these two buildings are fairly flat, so you don't exactly have to. However, if you decide to, you know, I personally would say lean more to this side because as you can see on this side, we're now cutting off this, we're cutting off these tops, we're cutting more of that than we kind of should, versus this side, as you can see, the angle leans much better in this direction. Only cutting off these large sections of buildings, which because they're so big, you get to see more of them, so that makes it better. That's where if we cut it this way, you don't get to see very much of that building. And the top end of that building, as you can see when we lean it that way, it angles perfectly as well outward. So you get more out in this direction, as where when you lean it to this side, you get a lot in this direction, but it's kind of choppy. As you can see, we're chopping off a bunch of different roofs just to get this angle. You don't even get to see the sunlight quite as well, versus at this angle. You can still see that if you want to see that, but that's the least important thing in this photo. It's about the angle here, how we have this whole angle, and you get to see more of the sunlight, giving you this nice wide open section without cutting off the top of this roof, cutting off the top of this, and you get another one here if you care about that too. Okay, now we go into coloring / filters. We're gonna stick with this spot here since it's so dang nice, and this will be a perfect, we could perfectly utilize this in coloring, which is gonna be here in effects. Your exposure, we've talked about this in the past with our character. This is going to be essentially like your background light. Contrast is going to darken the darks. So as you can see, shadows and things like that get darker when you touch contrast. And then for highlights, that is not the, it's hard to explain the difference in lighting that it is from exposure. Highlights, yeah, it's hard to put it into words, but I think anybody who's using these kind of know. This is going to be more of your world lighting, I guess you could say, where this is going to be more of your sunlight. So this reduces the sunlight. This is reducing the reflection of that sun. You know what? I think that's the best way to put it. This reduces the sunlight itself. This is going to reduce the reflection of that said sunlight. But for me, filters are important because you want more out of the look of your joints, out of your photos. So for me, number 2, number 3, which y'all know I use that all the time for my characters, number 5, and number 7 is going to be your best friends. Black and white will always enhance things in the best way possible. You put this up to here, about 50, pull this down a little bit, you know what I mean, about 35 shadoobie, and then put this at like 15, and you get yourself a quite picturesque looking photo, right? And that's the same with the number 5. That looks absolutely fantastic. Number 3, number 4 is actually pretty decent too, depending on how dark you make, as you can see. Number 3, the joint I always use, and then 2, it looks fantastic. But coloring is kind of simple. Of course, you can also keep it just, you know, the normal sky color. Coloring also comes down to how you edit it afterwards on your photo. Maybe you don't care about coloring it in game, but for structures, coloring in game is so dang easy. Honestly, I would, because then that's less editing you would have to do on the outside. Because I mean, as you can see, looks pretty dang spectacular to me. Number 2, number 3, 4 sometimes, number 5, and then 7. These give you absolutely fantastic colorizations, all that dang good stuff. Number 1, like I said, black and white is always the best because black and white naturally will increase quality. It'll make your whites whiter, make your darks darker, which gives you absolutely fantastic contrast. We're gonna take a picture of that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna use that for the thumbnail. And I guess we can move on to editing now. Now, when it comes down to editing, editing is important, obviously, but it also comes down to what are you looking for. Depending on how you do your photos when it comes to structural things here in Cyberpunk, you really don't have to do too much outside editing because it's not like a character. Like, see here we have little Miss V. Her color is ever so slightly drowned out because we have on number 3. If we switch it over, you know what I mean, she becomes even more pale, so those are things you have to fix. With an entire building, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the shadows are darkened. You're looking to increase the shadows, fix up the lighting to make it darker. Of course, you can do that, but it kind of already does it, especially, like I said, if you use black and white. Black and white kind of negates all of that. If there's extra effects and stuff you want to add, now that is where you're going to actually have to put a bit of the work in. So here's a quick little montage of what I do. I don't have Photoshop years now. With that being said though, my good folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell, share it to people join Ledger Cleaning Sports Channel, become legendary. I do all things photography, virtual and real life. Go ahead, watch this little montage real quick. Check out some of these images at the end. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, my objective has been complete. If it was not, well, I don't know. With that being said, I'm gone.